Your Denver Broncos absolutely have a secret weapon on their coaching staff, a guy who went from being in the Air Force Academy to leading one of the biggest air raid offense attacks that the NFL has ever seen, a guy who is actually linked to the man who the Super Bowl trophy is named after, and he is coaching your Denver Broncos offense. In this video, we're breaking down Joe Lombardi, why he is an elite coach, why Sean Payton has put his stamp of approval on him thrice throughout his NFL career, why he has succeeded in certain places and failed in others, and why he is going to get the most out of Bo Nix, RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant, and this Denver Broncos offense next year. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben, and it helps me in the YouTube algorithm out a ton. If you like the Broncos, would you smash that like and subscribe button for me? So the reason we love the NFL, it's the only league in sports where you can go from worst to first, and it happens each and every year. And that is because the difference between a superstar player and a guy who's about to get cut in the NFL is so razor thin that the differentiating factor is, do you have a good coach? And Sean Payton has time and time again brought the best talent around him, and that's why the rest of the NFL is poaching guys off of this team all the time, because Sean Payton develops incredible coaches who are in lockstep with him, and he gets the most out of his players. Ross Tucker talked about how coaching in the NFL matters than any other professional league. It's not even close. Bum Phillips said almost the exact same thing, that in the NBA, if you have the best player on the court, you're going to win a lot of games, even if your coach just lets the players do their own thing. That could not happen in the NFL, and that is why you have got to be thrilled with the guy that we have as your Denver Broncos offensive coordinator. Let's break down why he succeeded certain places and failed others, and why he's got the recipe to just take it to the moon this year with Sean Payton and your Denver Broncos. So obviously, very, very cool connection here that his dad is, or his grandpa is the guy who the Super Bowl trophy is named after, the famous Vince Lombardi. Unfortunately, Vince Lombardi died a year before our offensive coordinator was even born, but he went to the Air Force Academy and played tight end for the Air Force Academy and fell in love with being a leader and figured out hey, I can coach. And he's not just locked into coaching the position he played, although he did coach tight ends when he was coached in the XFL, but then he also coached the defensive line at the University of Dayton. And then he has had a ton of stops as quarterback coach and as offensive coordinator. And I think the biggest thing, and the reason you should be very bullish on him, is that Sean Payton has gone out and gotten him and given him promotions 3 separate times. He's rehired him. And then when you consider giving him a huge promotion one time, 4 different times, you've gotten the kiss of the king, or whatever that saying is. You've gotten his stamp of approval. And we know Sean Payton is basically batting 100 when it comes to his choices. And we talk about a league where there's so much turnover. Sean has his guys, and I love that Joe Lombardi is one of his guys. So he started off as just a lowly offensive assistant with the Saints. Sean Payton identified his ability to take complex ideas and boil them down to their basic parts, and so he bumped him up to the quarterback coach, Drew Brees' quarterback coach, and it was immediately after that they won the Super Bowl. He did that for a long time and had some of the most success you've ever seen from a quarterback. It wasn't until Peyton Manning broke Drew Brees' record, which was a record held by Drew Brees and Joe Lombardi at that time. And Peyton Manning only broke that record by 1 single yard. And the game really changed by the time Peyton Manning played it. He did that a long time ago. He went on and was offensive coordinator with Detroit and got some amazing things out of Matt Stafford, which we're going to talk about. Ended up the head coach got fired, and so he left there. He goes back, and Sean Payton's thank goodness I got you back. They have a ton of success. And because of that success, he gets poached by Brandon Staley, and he goes and coaches Justin Herbert in the Chargers. He gets incredible results there, which we're going to talk about. And then Staley gets fired, and so then obviously Joe Lombardi gets fired, and Sean Payton once again says, thank goodness you are back, and he hires him. Now, the thing, when he has lost jobs over these past two stops, when he lost a job with the Detroit Lions and he lost his job with the Chargers, it was definitely not his fault. We're going to look at the statistics here in a second. He actually got a ton out of both of those offenses, but what we see is that he does his best work when he's working alongside an offensive coach. So an offensive guru like a Sean Payton who can set the vision, and then he can focus on staying in his lane of hey, I am prepping game plans. I am prepping the quarterback. I'm like a quarterback whisperer, but if he is the whole hog only offensive voice in that room, he struggles. And so you saw him struggle both with the Detroit Lions and when he was a Chargers offensive coordinator, and both of those stops were with Caldwell and with Staley, were both of the reasons he struggled there were because those were defensive minded coaches. And he's just not like that big enough of an alpha type personality who's like, hey, I'm going to run this entire offense. He is a side-by-side, like a Wozniak to a Steve Jobs. Like Wozniak, Apple never would have happened without Wozniak, but Wozniak couldn't have done Apple on his own. He needed a Steve Jobs, and that's when he did his best work. So looking at when he did his best work, quarterback coach alongside Sean Payton. Sean sets the overall vision, and then he just executes on it. He's an elite executor of Sean Payton's vision, which is why every time it's happened, you've seen massive upticks. So when he was the quarterback coach there, you see two separate times were the times that Drew Brees had the most potent attack in the league at that time, and then really it rivals quarterbacks in all NFL history. But definitely every time he coached Drew Brees, it was the best offense in the league at that time. And then you're hearing I was reading another NOLA article about Joe Lombardi, which said, hey, Drew Brees would give his success to Joe Lombardi. That's why Drew Brees flourished so much. And you just see like how much did he flourish? Well, you're looking at just some pretty incredible stats there of like Drew Brees won Super Bowl MVP. He, set an NFL record that held all the way until Peyton Manning was there when he threw for 5,436 yards. He was selected to the Pro Bowl every single time that he was under him, and just some really, really dominant quarterback play there. Then he goes to when he was with the Chargers. You see him get the most out of Justin Herbert that is possible. Like you saw him get more out of Justin Herbert than we saw last year Harbaugh get out of Justin Herbert, that he shattered the franchise record for passing in a season, which is crazy because that was a passing statistic that was held previously by, obviously Bledsoe was there, but then previously by that guy who was all those kids, Phillip Rivers. And so you see him throw for 5,000 yards, 38 passing touchdowns and 443 completions, and just get a ton out of him. And then you see him, what he did with Matt Stafford. It was Matt Stafford's only selection to the Pro Bowl was when he was under Joe Lombardi, and you see him drop his interception percentage by 37%. You remember early in Stafford's career, he was labeled a gunslinger and put the ball in turnover worthy too much, but he dropped his total interceptions that season by 5. And then he takes that team from 7-9 to 11-5 in their first time in the playoffs since 1991. He got that team to the playoffs. Then you see what he did when he first came here with Russell Wilson. And you see an incredible turnaround that we literally were the worst offense in football, full stop. Like we were the worst when it comes to points. We were the worst when it comes to yardage, worst when it comes to red zone, all of that. And you see our numbers just tick up, that we go from the 32nd scoring offense to the 19th, scoring percentage 31st to the 18th. We become elite in the red zone, and we're doing all of that without a 100-yard rusher, with a quarterback who has some real chinks in his armor that we all identified immediately. And that's great. And then you see people have played with him like Austin Eckler come out and say one of the things that makes him so elite is he puts his playmakers in space. And so as I think about this year and what he is going to do now, knowing that we have a J.K. Dobbins, we have an R.J. Harvey, we have a Jaleel McLaughlin, we have Audric Estime, we have Pat Bryant, we have Vele, we have Marvin Mims, we have Cortland Sutton, and now we have a tight end in Evan Ingram. I just think he's got so much canvas to be able to paint on, and it is going to be a Air Force Academy worthy offense this season. Sean Payton has given him his vote of confidence 3 times throughout his career, and I think this is the time that we're all going to know that name. And everyone is talking about Vance Joseph. He's going to be the guy who's getting head coaching offers after this season. I would not be surprised after another amazing year out of Bo Nix, which is definitely what I am predicting. I would not be surprised to hear Joe Lombardi's name floated again for head coaching jobs, because we have seen him at all of these different stops. And when Sean Payton's stock is rising, everyone under him's stock is going to rise as well. So let me know in the comments, what do you think the Denver Broncos, when it comes to our offensive production this year, which of the big categories are you excited to see? Are you excited to have a tight end again? Are you excited to have a running back who gets at least 100 yards in a game? Are we going to have a 1,000-yard running back again for the first time since Phillip Lindsay? We've broken all of these different offensive streaks throughout Sean Payton's tenure so far, and I cannot wait to break either of those streaks this season. But Broncos country, we got a Lombardi in the house, and we're bringing home another one in February. In Broncos country, we got so much to Bo-LIEVE in. Oh, my goodness. Come on.